Have you ever looked back on decades of life wondering why some friendships faded or why certain choices led to regret? As we age, life's unspoken truths emerge not from books, but from the quiet accumulation of years, heartaches, triumphs, and the wisdom that only time can bestow. These aren't trendy tips for the young. They're profound realities for those who've walked the long road, reminding us that true fulfillment comes from self-awareness, letting go, and embracing the freedom that discipline brings. In a world that often overlooks the elderly's depth of experience, these lessons validate your journey, offering solace and strength for the chapters ahead. Consider a retired teacher in her 70s who devoted years to mentoring former students, only to be forgotten in her time of need. Heartbroken, she learns kindness to the ungrateful erodes your spirit. Or picture a widowed grandfather navigating loneliness after losing his spouse who discovers that forgiving silently and moving on preserves his peace. These stories from later life highlight how assumptions about others can cause pain, but also how resilience blooms from reflection. In this exploration tailored for seasoned souls, we'll dive into these insights with examples from elders, an octogenarian entrepreneur, reflecting on business regrets, a veteran finding freedom through routine, and more. Prepare to resonate deeply, reaffirm your worth, and find renewed purpose. Because at this stage, the most honest truths illuminate the path to lasting contentment. Recognizing your own worth and that of others. As the years accumulate, one of life's harshest yet most liberating truths reveals itself. Our kindness can sometimes be our greatest vulnerability, especially when extended to those who don't value it. For many elders, this lesson arrives after decades of giving, whether to family, friends, or community, only to face ingratitude or exploitation. It's not a sign of personal failure, but a reminder to discern when generosity becomes self-sacrifice. Imagine a 75-year-old widow named Margaret, who spent her retirement years babysitting her grandchildren without complaint, cooking meals and offering financial help during tough times. She did it out of love, assuming her family appreciated her efforts as much as she valued their bond. But when she fell ill and needed support, calls went unanswered, and visits were rare. Heartbroken, Margaret realized she had been pouring her energy into relationships that weren't reciprocal. This isn't uncommon among seniors. Many, like Margaret, suffer not because they're inherently too nice, but because they didn't recognize the signs to pull back from the wrong people. This dynamic echoes the poignant analogy of a blind man who, upon regaining his sight, discards the walking stick that guided him through darkness. It's a stark illustration of how those we've supported can turn ungrateful once their needs are met. In real life, consider Harold, an 82-year-old veteran who mentored young neighbors in his community, sharing war stories and life advice to help them navigate challenges. He invested time and wisdom, believing it built lasting connections. Yet when Harold needed help with yard work after a hip surgery, those same neighbors were nowhere to be found, claiming busyness. Harold's experience underscores a critical mistake many of us make as we age, assuming others think and reciprocate like we do. We project our own values, loyalty, empathy, gratitude onto them, only to be disappointed when their actions reveal otherwise. The truth is, you can't change someone who doesn't acknowledge flaws in their behavior. Take Evelyn, a 68-year-old retired nurse who tried for years to fix her adult son's irresponsible habits by bailing him out financially and emotionally. She gave more and more, hoping her love would inspire change, but he continued down the same path, unappreciative and unchanged. Evelyn eventually learned that pouring affection into someone who doesn't value it only depletes your own reserves. It's a lesson that resonates deeply in later life when energy is finite and regrets can weigh heavy. Studies from sources like psychology journals highlight that such patterns often stem from codependency, where elders accustomed to caregiving roles struggle to set boundaries. Though we'll avoid diving into clinical terms here to keep it relatable. Instead of resentment, this realization empowers. For seniors like Margaret, Harold, and Evelyn, recognizing their worth meant rechanneling energy towards self-respect and healthier connections. Margaret joined a senior book club, finding peers who truly valued her stories. Harold focused on volunteering at a veterans center where gratitude was mutual. Evelyn set firm limits with her son, fostering her own hobbies like gardening, which brought personal joy. These shifts aren't about becoming guarded. They're about honoring your lifetime of experiences by surrounding yourself with those who see your true value. As we age, this wisdom protects our peace, reminding us that true worth isn't measured by how much we give, but by how wisely we choose to give it. In the end, embracing this lesson fosters a profound self-awareness. You deserve relationships that uplift, not drain. It's a truth that once internalized lightens the emotional load of years past, paving the way for more fulfilling connections in the time we have left. Inner freedom and self-care. In the golden years of life, when the hustle of youth fades into a quieter rhythm, the pursuit of inner freedom becomes not just desirable, but essential. For many elders, this freedom manifests as liberation from the weight of others' opinions, a gift that allows you to live authentically unburdened by societal expectations or judgments that once dictated your choices. Take, for instance, Sophia, an 80-year-old former librarian who spent her working life conforming to her family's conservative ideals, dressing modestly and avoiding controversy to keep the peace. After retirement, she began exploring vibrant hobbies like painting abstract art, which her relatives deemed eccentric for someone her age. Initially stung by their criticism, Sophia eventually embraced the truth. True elegance and self-worth aren't tied to external approval or pricey wardrobes, but to simple acts of self-presentation, staying clean, neat and tidy. She learned that a wrinkled blouse could undermine her confidence more than any fashion trend, prompting her to maintain a polished appearance as a form of self-respect. By freeing herself from what others thought, Sophia rediscovered joy in her creativity, hosting small art shows for like-minded seniors and inspiring them to do the same. Letting go emerges as a cornerstone of self-care, particularly as we age and reflect on relationships that no longer serve us. Forgiving silently without confrontation and choosing to distance oneself preserves precious energy that could otherwise be drained by resentment. Consider Robert, a 76-year-old widower who endured years of subtle manipulations from a longtime friend who borrowed money without repayment and offered empty promises of support after Robert's wife passed. Instead of harboring bitterness, Robert forgave in silence, ceasing contact to protect his emotional well-being. This act wasn't weakness, it was wisdom born from experience. As he adopted a more relaxed attitude toward the friendship's end, the hold it had on him loosened. He channeled his time into community gardening, where the calm of nurturing plants mirrored his newfound inner peace. Robert's story illustrates how in later life, missing someone doesn't necessitate their return. It's often just a phase of healing, a signal to move forward rather than cling to the past. Elders like Sophia and Robert also learned that attempting to change others is futile. Far better to transform oneself or one's surroundings. When promises devolve into apologies, be it from unreliable family members or fair-weather friends, it's time to exit gracefully. Life, much like a winding road, requires careful navigation because people can switch lanes abruptly, revealing their true colors when denied what they want. Think of Clara, a 72-year-old grandmother who dedicated her post-retirement years to helping her daughter's family, only to face excuses when she asked for minor assistance with her health appointments. Disappointed but enlightened, Clara changed her environment by joining a senior living community where mutual support flourished. She stopped trying to mold her daughter's behavior and focused on her own growth, taking up yoga to manage arthritis and build resilience. This shift taught her volumes about human nature. You truly see people's priorities when they don't get their way. These examples highlight how inner freedom and self-care intertwine, offering elders a path to reclaim control. By prioritizing neatness as elegance, practicing silent forgiveness, adopting a relaxed mindset, and strategically letting go, seniors can safeguard their vitality. It's a gentle rebellion against the accumulation of life's disappointments, fostering a serene existence where self-care isn't selfish, it's survival. In embracing these practices, one finds that true freedom lies not in isolation, but in curating a life filled with intentional, energizing connections. If the insights on inner freedom and self-care resonated with your own experiences in later life, perhaps reminding you of a time when letting go brought unexpected peace, or when freeing yourself from others' opinions sparked newfound joy, share your thoughts. Comment too below to tell us about a personal moment where embracing a relaxed attitude or silent forgiveness transformed your well-being. Your story could inspire fellow elders on their journey. Honesty, discipline, and inner strength. As the tapestry of life unfolds into its later chapters, the virtues of honesty, discipline, and inner strength stand out as pillars that not only sustain us, but elevate our existence. For elders, these qualities often crystallize after years of navigating deceptions, both from others and ourselves, revealing that authenticity is the bedrock of meaningful connections and personal growth. Being honest might not amass a crowd of acquaintances, but it attracts the genuine few who truly enrich your days. Consider Arthur, a 79-year-old former accountant who throughout his career sugar-coated truths to maintain office harmony only to retire feeling isolated. In his 70s, Arthur began sharing candid stories at a local senior center, admitting regrets like prioritizing work over family. While some drifted away, a small group of peers bonded with him over shared vulnerabilities, forming deep friendships that brought laughter and support to his routine coffee meetups. Arthur's shift underscores how honesty filters out the superficial, leaving room for relationships that endure. Personal growth, too, hinges on confronting uncomfortable truths about oneself. You expand as much as the truth you can bear without fleeing from it. An insightful perspective from life lessons. Compilations notes, the most damning lies are the ones we tell ourselves, emphasizing that self-deception hinders progress, drawing from reflective writings on personal development. Take Lillian, an 85-year-old widow, who long convinced herself she was content in solitude after her husband's passing, masking her loneliness with busy work like endless knitting projects. When health issues forced introspection, she admitted her need for companionship, joining a grief support group. There, facing her emotional truths led to profound healing. She reconnected with old friends and even started a memoir, writing class, turning denial into a source of strength. Lillian's journey shows elders that acknowledging inner realities, however painful, fosters resilience and opens doors to renewed purpose. Discipline, often misunderstood as rigid constraint, actually paves the way to true freedom, especially in later life, when habits can make or break well-being. As Jocko Willink, a former Navy SEAL, articulates in his philosophy, discipline equals freedom. It's not about restriction, but liberation from whims and impulses that enslave us. For the undisciplined moods and fleeting passions dictate actions leading to regret. Picture Victor, a 74-year-old retiree who post-heart surgery struggled with inconsistent health routines, skipping walks and indulging in unhealthy snacks on bad days. Inspired by Willink's ideas from his book and related reviews, Victor committed to a disciplined schedule, daily morning exercises, balanced meals, and evening reading. This structure didn't confine him. It freed him from fatigue and dependency, allowing him to travel with grandchildren and pursue woodworking hobbies with vigor. Victor's transformation illustrates how discipline in elder years counters the slavery of inconsistency, granting control and vitality. Inner strength shines brightest in moments of vulnerability. Being the first to apologize demonstrates bravery, the first to forgive shows fortitude, and the first to forget brings happiness. More crucially, the power to walk away from what's wrong often trumps choosing right initially. If you're constantly questioning something's value, it likely isn't worth it. Reflect on Beatrice, a 70-year-old grandmother who endured a toxic sibling relationship filled with broken promises and emotional drain. After years of apologies turning into excuses, Beatrice bravely apologized for her part in enabling it, forgave silently for her peace, and distanced herself. This act of strength allowed her to forget the hurt, redirecting energy toward volunteering at a community library, where she found joy in mentoring young readers. Beatrice learned that in elderhood, such resolve prevents prolonged suffering, affirming that happiness blooms from decisive, compassionate boundaries. Together, these elements, honesty, discipline, and inner strength, form a triad that empowers elders to live with integrity and poise. They transform accumulated years into a foundation of wisdom, ensuring that the twilight of life is marked not by what was lost, but by the freedom and fulfillment gained through intentional living. Did the section on honesty, discipline, and inner strength strike a chord, echoing times when confronting hard truths about yourself led to growth, or when discipline unlocked true freedom in your daily routines? If so, we'd love to hear how you've applied these lessons, maybe through a brave apology or building habits that sustained you through challenges. Comment 3 to share your reflections and connect with others who've walked similar paths in their golden years. Patience and final reflections. In the serene expanse of later life where the pace slows and memories accumulate like pages in a well-worn book, patience emerges as the quiet architect of contentment. It's a virtue that elders often come to cherish deeply, having witnessed how haste in youth led to missteps while measured waiting unveiled unexpected graces. The assurance that everything will eventually be all right, perhaps not today, but in due time, serves as a soothing balm for the uncertainties that persist even in our advanced years. This isn't blind optimism. It's wisdom forged from decades of weathering storms, from financial hardships to health declines, teaching us that time has a way of resolving what effort alone cannot. For many seniors, impatience in earlier decades caused unnecessary strife, rushing into decisions like impulsive investments or heated family arguments, only to learn that patience allows clarity to emerge, turning potential regrets into stories of resilience. Consider Gerald, an 81-year-old former engineer, who after a lifetime of problem-solving in high-stakes projects, faced a prolonged battle with chronic arthritis in retirement. Frustrated at first, he pushed through pain with aggressive therapies and over-the-counter remedies, demanding quick fixes from doctors. But as months turned to years, Gerald embraced patience, adjusting his expectations and incorporating gentle routines like swimming and meditation. Slowly, his condition stabilized and he discovered adaptive tools that restored his mobility for gardening, a passion he'd nearly abandoned. Gerald's experience mirrors a common elder narrative: the realization that forcing outcomes often exacerbates suffering, while patient adaptation fosters not just physical relief, but emotional equilibrium. He now shares with his grandchildren, life's like a slow cooking stew, rush it, and it's bland. Give it time and the flavors deepen. This mindset shift allowed him to appreciate small victories, reinforcing that things do align in their own rhythm. Patience also intertwines with the broader lessons we've explored, amplifying their impact in elderhood. When recognizing your worth, patience helps you endure the initial sting of setting boundaries, as with Margaret, who waited out the discomfort of family distance to build new, appreciative circles. In cultivating inner freedom, it enables the gradual release of grudges, much like Robert, who patiently navigated loneliness to find solace in gardening. For honesty and discipline, patience sustains the daily grind of truthful self-reflection and structured habits, as Victor did in maintaining his health regimen through setbacks. And in building inner strength, it empowers the brave acts of apology and forgiveness, allowing time for wounds to heal without reopening them, as Beatrice discovered in distancing from toxicity. These threads weave into a tapestry of final reflections, where elders like you can look back with a sense of completion. Life's honest lessons remind us that growth isn't linear. It's a mosaic of trials that with patience form a beautiful whole. Reflect on Maria, a 78-year-old artist who, after losing her studio to a fire in her 60s, felt her creative spark extinguish. Impatient to rebuild, she initially spiraled into despair, but over time she patiently explored digital art on a simple tablet, reigniting her passion and even exhibiting online for a global audience of fellow seniors. Maria's story encapsulates how patience transforms loss into opportunity, affirming that eventually things will be fine isn't a platitude, it's a promise backed by lived experience. As we conclude this journey through life's unspoken truths, tailored for those who've earned their wisdom through the passage of years, remember that these lessons aren't endpoints, but companions for the road ahead. They encourage you to honor your worth by choosing reciprocal bonds, to seek inner freedom through mindful letting go, to harness honesty and discipline for unyielding strength, and to practice patience as the key to enduring peace. In your reflections, perhaps over a quiet cup of tea or a walk in the park, embrace these insights. They validate the richness of your experiences, offering not just consolation, but empowerment to live your remaining chapters with grace and authenticity. After all, in the grand narrative of life, it's the patient souls who often write the most inspiring endings, proving that with time, indeed, everything finds its way to being all right.